more expert than I am. Okay, IMSC. 10 years ago, actually the first proposal was 12 years ago and was rejected. 10 years ago, in 1995, USC submitted an almost identical proposal, and it was funded. The proposal begins, someday we will have text and graphics and audio and video all on the same computer screen, and it will not be expensive. 1995, that was quasi-science fiction, and it was considered visionary. And now, what, you can go down to Best Buy or one of the computer stores, and even the lowest end computer has that kind of capability. So what they did back in 1995 is do a map, a technology map of the future. And it's an interesting way of disciplining your thinking. A technology map of the future. Year by year, what is going to be the capability of different levels of devices? A consumer device, a high-end, say $2,500 device, a $5,000 professional device, a high-end $25,000 professional device, and Hollywood post-production studio, $250,000. What are going to be the capability of those types of devices? And the way you do that, or the way they did that, was fairly straightforward. You probably all heard of Moore's Law. Very simple projection of price performance of computers, which seems to be holding, and we think it's going to hold for at least another 20 years. We may be slightly ahead of Moore's Law, actually. And so you plug in the formula, and year by year, you can say, okay, $500 device does this year, that the next year, this the next year, in terms of memory, processing speed, all the basic attributes of computing power.
And then maybe you could give us a brief description of Moore's Law in case anyone's not sure.
He was one of the founders of Intel. And what he discovered was that in the early days of chip manufacturing, that they could double the number of transistors on a chip, and that the price would drop. And so his projection, I'm trying to think, let's see, is this intended, because the way it's popularly stated is actually slightly understating the power of it. Basically, if you say that the power, what you buy for a given dollar of computer power, that dollar is going to buy you twice as much every year. So it's twice as much next year, twice as much again the year after that. Then you start doing the math, and 10 years out, you're at 2 to the 10 or over 1,000. So now you look out ahead and you think, well, gee, that $500 computer that now has audio and video, you mean in 10 years that's going to cost $5? Well, actually, we think it's going to cost even less. And the issue is going to be, it's going to cost less, it's going to be very small, and the issue is going to be how is it going to be used, in what form is it going to be used. So, I'll give you the past 10 years, which was, they projected that by 2007, there would be affordable consumer devices that could play these 3D high-end formats, which 15 years ago required a supercomputer. And it turned out they were off by, well, let's say this is 2006. They were off by a year. That really made it late 2005 with the Xbox. Those same chips are going to be in the new Sony PlayStation. Those same chips are going to be in the next generation of PCs that come out. These chips are so powerful that, as I said, even the Microsoft game people don't know how to program them to take advantage of all their power. USC, you may have read in the paper, front page article in the New York Times last week, USC has 18 different laboratories working on interactive, what we call serious games. Games for education, healthcare, journalism. IMSC is the research lab. We do the basic research on how people interact with machines, how the machines can interact with people. The other labs are working on applications. Who's way out there right now? The Department of Defense. My younger son is an Army officer in Iraq, and he has trained on some of the tools which have been developed at USC. One is a virtual Baghdad, another one is called Tactical Iraqi. And after you've been killed a few times in the game, you sort of get it and how to avoid getting killed in real life. We're working with McKinley High School, which is a short walk from here over in Northeast, deploying what we think is the first generation of a new wave of games for education, specifically, in this case, high school biology. Really tough course material, stuff that would have been difficult at university level. I was your age. But when we tested it in LA last year, high school kids just went zoom right through it, like, you know, a proverbial hot knife through butter. Wow. And they not only went through the material, they didn't want to leave. They kept wanting to play the games over and over again. And you're learning about the immune system and cell structure. Really interesting. There's something about the way we as human beings are wired that leads us to the game format as something which is very important, which is something else that's going to be interesting about.